Hi, I'm Ben McNamara with Similar Kind. Today I'm going to be breaking down a song off our debut album, Good Grief. The song is called Search Party. I'm going to be taking you through all the different production and different things that we did while we were in the studio. So let's check it out. When we were working on the song, it was kind of the first song that really kind of sparked all the creativity for the band for this kind of album. It was kind of the first song that was like the genesis for the entire creation of the record. I started making it in my room one day where I had just started exploring some new sounds and new things that I had found in the DAW. I started experimenting using this Juno keyboard plugin for a little bit, and I found this really cool sound that I really liked, and I thought, wow, this is really cool, and started playing, this drum beat that I kind of had Miles recreate when we were in the studio, and it kind of went like this. Kind of just this really cool groove, just kind of keeping the song moving and kind of going. And then I started playing these guitar parts. And this was kind of just like the genesis of the song, kind of getting it moving. And I was like, oh, I really like this. Like this has a nice feel to it. So let's just get that kind of guy looping in here and just to show you. So we had all this going with these little stabby guitar bits. You can kind of hear they're kind of jagged guitar. They're like, and on the right here. So kind of had all this kind of going together here. These drums, bass, guitar. Very cool. And then I had this Juno keyboard that I was using, the plugin. But then, because we decided that we really loved the sound of this Juno keyboard and the plugin, and we were like, we want to use this for more things, we decided, hey, why not buy the guy? So one day we were on the road on this tour with the band Post X Nachos, and some guy in Pennsylvania just so happened to be selling a Juno keyboard with everything, a Juno 6 keyboard specifically, because the low end of the keyboard we really liked, and I had done some research in some of my favorite artists from the 80s, and even now we're using this keyboard that had really nice low end to it, and the sounds are just awesome. And some guy was selling it for really an inexpensive price, and we just had to grab it, so we bought it off some guy on the side of the road in Philly, and then we had it, and it created some awesome, really cool sounds for this whole record. And so this is kind of the vibe that I had going for maybe like an hour of working on just this intro part I came up with on my own, and kind of just, making this little groove to send to everybody, be like, what do you think of this new guy? So it was kind of like this. So this was kind of what I had going. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I still wanted to dance a little bit more. So then I was like, I really love kind of, Jake makes fun of me because I made him kind of play some of these keyboard parts, and it's a little like Charlie Brownie / kind of like carnival-y, a little like not how he would play, kind of like almost thinking about the piano as kind of like a percussive instrument. So then I came up with kind of messing around with this piano part. It was recorded at Power Station in upstate Connecticut on a grand piano, but when I played it, it was just like this cheesy kind of grand piano kind of plug-in, So, and I'll play the demo sound at the end. So here is the grand piano part that I had. See, it kind of sounds a little funny and a little weird, like when you listen to it like on its own, but you put it in with the drums and the keyboards and the guitars, and you kind of have this swirling thing going on with everything kind of here. Kind of playing around and doing this cool, like interesting kind of thing going on. So, I came up with this kind of groove here we got going on in this intro part, and added the bass there, and then I sent this to the group being like, hey, like here's this thing, and I even named it Search Party. Funny enough, the demo name made it all the way to the end of the album, which is really cool. And I sent this, and I think the next day or maybe a couple days later, Julia came in with a vocal part singing the chorus. So pretty much all that was written was like this. And she was singing the chorus over it, and we were like, whoa, this is sick. And that kind of just opened the floodgates, and from there it kind of, created a monster, and kind of from there we kind of started building the rest of the song. And we made it all the way to kind of like, to this kind of stuff, which is the second verse, which is kind of a Nate and Jake special, I like to call it. So, anyway. So going down through some of the instruments that you can kind of hear in there when we get into this verse section. Here are the keyboards. We got these guys. Oh, and the coolest part about the song that I kind of just like didn't even, toss out there is in the demo as well, and that made it all the way to this version is this mellotron, which is kind of like some string guys, which you can kind of hear, like now that I have it soloed and I play it, you'll probably be like, whoa. Take it away. That's a huge part of the song. Cool. And then also really cool in here is in this the pre-chorus, which is one of my favorite parts. There's a lot of really cool stuff kind of going on that you might not hear, or you might not notice, but kind of paying attention to kind of some of the things here. What's really cool is there's some of these acoustic guitars that I played. I actually recorded these in my bedroom, and we had done other guitars when we were at the studio, and they made it all the way to the point we were in Georgia, in Athens, and mixing the record. And then I was like, you know what? I really still don't like my acoustic guitars that I recorded in the studio. I really like the ones that I had done in the demo. Let's keep them. So, and they're so shitty. They're like probably the worst sounding acoustic guitars ever, but there's something about them that was so cool. And they have a bunch of stuff on them. I think I added a bunch of tape delay and chorusy kind of stuff, and using like micro shift, which is a really cool plugin that I love, and I use it a lot on this whole record. They sound terrible. I recorded these in my bedroom with a really shitty microphone, but they end up sounding really cool in the context of this section. So I'll just show kind of what's going on with those guitars and start with these guys. So we have these acoustic guitars going on here. Put those in. We'll put them in with the drums and the bass. You kind of got this cool thing, little groove going, kind of cool. Then you throw it in these guys. Kind of cool. Throw these more keyboards in here, more Junos. Add the cellos in. And you have this. And everything's kind of swirling around each other, which is really cool. Here in the context of the whole song.
Tried again and again, but I put it on the back that this time's different.
So, kind of combining all these elements that are all doing various different rhythms and kind of creating this kind of fun, kind of swirling thing going on, which I really love about this track, and all the different sounds. This cello part is so sick and it's not a real cello, it's just a sample that I found, and I played it on this little MIDI keyboard, kind of going back and forth to create kind of these cool stabby guys. And it's really funny to hear these things kind of by themselves, but when you put them in the context of this song or this atmosphere, it kind of creates this really cool push and pull thing going on in this pre-chorus. Moving on from there, kind of something that I glossed over, but the saxophone part is just something that Matt, who plays saxophone, he played this little thing he sent me, because I sent him the song first, I believe, out of everybody in the band, and he sent back all these saxophone parts and all these things, and I took only one saxophone part from the whole thing that I added in here just for the chorus. I love this little thing he played, which this da-da-da-da-da, and I thought it was so cool, and then I just took it and moved it around into this chorus to kind of give kind of a call and response to all these guitar parts and stuff. So I'll play all this together without the vocals so you can hear kind of what's going on with all the parts. You kind of hear everything kind of playing along with each other, which is really cool. And, that's the kind of one of the coolest things about the song is something might be doing something on the right side, then something's responding on the left, and they're all kind of playing off each other and doing this little bouncy thing. And that was something that Drew Vandenberg, who mixed the album, said that made the song really cool. Or this song, he was saying it's so fun because these guitars and these bass and everything's kind of bouncing off each other, and it's really cool. And it's that's kind of what's making my head move a lot. So that was kind of what we were doing when we were creating all these parts. So then we move on to the second verse here. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. One day Miles came here, and we were like, wow, this second verse is so cool. Like, what can we do to add some extra stuff? So we came in, and with the drums here, he played the wood block and the cowbell together. You get this cool stuff. more rhythms and interesting stuff. I love bands like the Talking Heads, and they do these really cool things where they have a lot of extra percussion and things. And just this one section, because there's no vocal in this section, we're like, oh, let's like have a little fun with some of the aux percussion. So we added some of that stuff in there, and then also really cool at Power Station they have this tape delay. Where you can run your, I believe it's an Echoplex, and we ran the drums through it to get this really cool sound, only in this one specific spot where the drums do this fill, and we wanted to make it kind of, get really chaotic. So you get kind of these two guys together with this tape delay and the cowbell and everything, and you get this really cool thing in this fill he does. Right here. It's like, and it goes away, and it comes back, and it's just really cool little thing that makes the drums a little bit more interesting. What else is in this section that's really cool? Oh, the saxophone parts are really cool. Matt is just a G, so he came in and played these really awesome parts that are just perfect for this section. Almost kind of take the role of the vocal, which is really cool. Yeah, and then we get to kind of, with the vocals here on this stuff, we did a decent amount of stacking. We did a normal lead, then we did a double, and not too much. Julia doesn't tune anything. She does it a million takes until she gets it right, which is really, really awesome about what she does. And some cool stuff. It's like the first time where in a lot of these songs we got the boys to sing on them. So Nate and Miles got a chance to sing a lot of the backgrounds on it, and they did some really awesome stuff, kind of just to show you kind of what they did if we kind of just solo what these guys did. It's really cool.
I would think I know it all by now, and I would hope it figure itself out.
Just in my bedroom, not even in a studio, just in my bedroom, recording those background vocals. One day just getting together and being like, let's stack a bunch of these, let's get the boys in here. So, and I really love Nate in the second verse, the way his voice sounds, the timbre of it is so nice.
So we're here now, no way out.
There's something about the way his voice sounds with the music, really cool.
Anxious.
Try again and again, but I'll put it on the record. This sounds different. I believe you know it all.
Pretty cool. And then one of the big really highlights of the song is kind of the end, where everything kind of explodes into this, like, almost you feel like you're ascending, and there's so many things going on. When we were doing this in the studio, we kind of pulled a lot of stuff from the demo that we really loved, and the keyboards in this end section are insane. We used, on top of using kind of the Juno 6, which we bought from the guy in Philadelphia, we used a keyboard that I have, which is a Prophet Rev 2, which is really cool to kind of have some more synth sounds. For this whole record, we used pretty much a DX7, a Juno 6, a Prophet Rev 2, a Moog synthesizer, and one or two songs we used a Prophet 5, but that was only for one song because they had it at Power Station where we recorded this. But we had the tools that we wanted to use because of this song and making this song. We were like, these are the tools we're going to use these on the whole album. So at the end here, we kind of stacked a bunch of synths. So we have kind of like our normal synths from kind of the whole song. The same keyboard sound we've been using for the whole thing. But he starts playing some different stuff. And this is where you get the really cool low end. And this doesn't even sound like the same song when you listen to it on its own. Then you start to add in some of the Prophet sounds. Buzziness, some nice buzziness. And we were adding space to these by we were using some outboard reverbs, using the Model 200 reverb sound on a lot of these, which was the outboard gear we're running a lot of stuff through at Power Station, which is really awesome to use. Then you add in another Prophet here, and you start to get this crazy ending. We're ascending, and we add this ARP sound, and all of a sudden it's really moving. It doesn't even sound like the same song. But the mellows are on in there. Almost sounds like it should be the end of a movie. So pretty, and I love it. And it's something that you don't really get to hear too much in the song because there's so much going on. So, and then on top of that, you got this fucking epic saxophone. Matt playing his little heart out here with these guys. So good. And I love it. It makes me feel so emotional, and it's just really nice. And you add in these guitars here, and you get this crazy big ending. And there's something like, there's these big electric guitars here that actually did not make it on the final guy. Just to show you, they were a little bit too much, so we decided that let's leave them on the cutting room floor. But just to show you, because there was so much going on at the end here that it's kind of like, they're cool, but we decided like, there's just no reason for them, so they kind of lost and they didn't make it in, unfortunately for me. Anyway. So the really cool part about the end section here, on top of just all the really cool instrumentation and Julia ripping the vocal, is the backgrounds actually, which we also did in my bedroom. They're called the Ahs, which I love. And it's just Julia, Miles, and Nate singing some Ahs. Kind of like creating like almost a choir, which is really cool. And then on top of that, I really love this plugin called Morphoder, which is like a synthesizer kind of vocoder-ish kind of thing. What you do is you pick kind of like a chord that you want it to play, and then I sustain it. And sometimes you can take it and make it do different chords. I like to use it kind of as a pad underneath, but if you listen to it, I ran all these vocals through it to give it this, which makes it kind of sound like a synthesizer. And you add it on top of these guys. And it makes them sound like angels almost, which I really liked. And it just made for a really cool ending. And you put it all together and you get this. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of Search Party. If you want to see more songs from the record be broken down, you can comment below and let us know which ones you want to hear. Our album, Good Grief, is out now, so please check it out. It really helps us if you take a listen. So, bye.